pillar forms I have mentioned, if you're following for the first time, we have, in Hung Gar, we have 4 pillar forms, but the first 2 is Gung Ji Fuk Fu, a great training form. It helps you build strength, integrity of movement, and we also have footwork that has a lot of fundamental basic movements in it from all the strategies that we have in our style. And then we have the tiger crane form that houses, the images of the tiger and the crane as the primary, and then we had the leopard, the snake, and the dragon. So then we have the 5 animals. So a 5-animal system is, something that Hung Gar has to offer. So going from there, we're going to go through the opening of the form, and we can see that we have the strength side of the movement. So when we talk about building strength and position, we don't have to do these movements fast. It's different from anything else that you do, that we want to build the muscle memory, the position, and just finding those positions is really what's important. And when we bend, we open, we pivot, we measure every single position, and find your center line. Open, push, pull, push, but pull in the sense of an intent. So your mind intent is still focusing on the movement and trying to get an experience, how that feels to use your strength. You're really grabbing, striking, sinking, crossing, open. These are blocks. So we have to visualize what these positions are. We step, pull back, kick, here, trap, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, sit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, elbow, thrust, cut, push, pull, 1, 2, 3. So define each stance. Build each position. So this is really control, building coordination and body form, using your musculature. So what we're doing is creating sort of patterns and programs in the brain. So this is really what I find pretty amazing. I mean, how else do you do these? You learn to use your strength. You learn, last time I did both sides of these movements, toward the mirror. So we see that we have a sequence. We move our joints. And we use our body to create these patterns in action. So how else can we develop this? That's what makes Chinese martial arts so unique. You see the body, the upper body and the lower body have to be coordinated and tied through your waist. Okay, step through, elbow. So there's dimensional change in your movements. Okay, good. So that's the sequence. This wire was kind of getting in my way. But anyways, so so we do this with each movement. There's a palm. So you have to tie the body together. You have to tie your body together. Okay. So you're just training. You have to have the coordination. Your body has to turn. You have to transition away. So you do this for sequence, and you also practice it for accuracy of movement. So accuracy of movement has to do with muscle memory, your center line, and the corners of 45 degrees. So once those directions are programmed into your body, then when you do your movements, you know that that's what's going to happen. So your idea of your moving becomes something that you're familiar with. So direction, you have that, okay? The body positioning body positioning has to do with strength and no strength as a position. So you have weaknesses and strengths in position. So you have to go into position, maximize the potential of that position, and then you will have an effective technique using the forces the way you expect it to. So because a lot of non-traditionalists think forms are useless, but actually forms are not used really just for fighting. The techniques are used for fighting. The form itself is not designed. It takes you through a virtual battlefield. Not necessarily mean that every one of those movements are utilized in that specific sequential idea. So that's really what's misinterpreted. What you're developing is a block and a punch. So you block, punch, block, punch, block, punch. That's what you develop. That's a single movement. So someone here, you strike. So that's where the movement comes from. Someone think, here's your dragon. You're like this. There's your block, there's your strike. Those are the units within the form. So you're building a network of movements in your body, and eventually you draw off of that because those movements end up programming your body and becomes a reflex. So how long does that take? Depends on how much practice you put in, how often you practice, and your understanding. Understanding varies with every level. It doesn't mean you learn a form, you don't know how to interpret it, you interpret it basically. Then as you evolve, everything becomes interpreted at different stages. So at a higher level, the ones that you were interpreting in the lower level, you would realize probably not as effective because it's very rudimental and it's probably not the way you really would use it, because it's too basic, in other words. Because when the hands go like this or like this, and you go, these are movements that really you know that you have to draw off of. Right? If I'm here and I cover, I bake, those are movements. When something comes, this is a middle block, this is a middle block, this is a high block. All of these are structures built inside your framework. And then once your body knows these, which like anything else we do, because we're creatures of habit, you know when the hand goes like this, you can actually discover it on the way learning, and then it becomes reflex, and you would be surprised that your hands move like that. So, the simple thing like this, when I go like this, that's simple action, even though it's a punch and the hand is here. That simple action has taught my hand to do this. It's taught my hand to do this. So between this, and this, those are just places that you have potential to go to. So if I punch like this, I have to have my hand here. So if something were to come here, this actually knows to move too. Or this hand knows to move too. How does it know? Because it knows because we've been doing all of these different things. So you can draw off of that. When you do an uppercut, how do you know how these movements are? Because your body has become accustomed to this. In Footwork, we do this. But would you actually, someone throws a punch, you block and go like that? You would never do it like that. It's just a training tool to define the direction of the uppercut. In fact, your uppercut can be like this. So there's a series of movements. What you learn is how your feet can move in a direction and have can your body move with the feet? That's a coordination. Anybody can do this, but can you coordinate your hands to do this? So if your hands are not connected like that, then you don't have footwork, you don't have hand movement. All of that is developed inside the form. So actually I wanted to, Lucian was speaking to someone that was watching the class one time, and he was wondering, with Gungji, when we step off and we draw the foot, how does this foot work? It does that. You see what happens? When you're in a cat stance and you pull back, right, this foot does that. So it's not a high kick. So you deflect the movement or use your shin and kick. You can kick to the groin or you go in to the knee. So that's what it's really for a close-in movement where someone would do a block and then kick, and you're using the blade of the foot. So it's not a side kick. A side kick's the fumi kick. We're using the heel. This is a blade kick. And the blade kick, the practice of blade kick, your hip actually does this, right? It does this. So when you do a kick, you have to practice so your hip has an action in it. So when you're here, you block, it comes out. And that's really how you connect with your opponent. So don't think, when we move the legs, it's just your feet. Don't think when we move the hands, it's just your hands. It's this, it's this, it's this, 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 this. All of this is part of the movement. So when we do this, that's part of the movement. If I go like this is part of the movement. If I go like this, you kick here. That's a block. See, it's not a block. So that's how we do the leg. When you step, these are footwork allowing you to move into your opponent, move in, step in, come around, move in. That's what you're learning. When you go like this, you're learning to not just sweep, but maybe you're moving. It's called eating the stance. And then you're in a position. You use your leg. Okay? If you come in, you move in, strike. My leg is like this, boom. My leg is doing that. It's already, if it's next to your leg, and I come in to show you how important the leg work is. I come in, this is up against someone's knee. That will turn. See, if I'm here, boom, boom. There's an action. You send your opponent here in a tripping action here. Right? So you would sweep. So you see your body, has different ways of interpreting movement and at different surfaces. So you think, when your legs are here or here, all of these things have a purpose in your movement. So the idea is build timing. If this is the second form, it's like this. If this is the fourth form, you're like this. Okay? So the single movement is called a one technique. So you cover and palm. Okay? Cover and palm. That's one technique. You cover, pick. That's one technique. Cover, pick. Okay? After you pick, lao. Right? Pick, lao. So this can be here. You pick, lao. Underneath, pick, lao. Those are two different things. One hand, one like this. One hand, one like this. So those are, how you can utilize your movement, because the coordination that you develop is tremendous. You develop direction of movement. This can go like this. This can go like this. So your hands have the ability to modify based on body form. So you have your stance, you have your upper body position. So you combine the various geometry of position creates a posture. Then you have your transition. Whether you utilize your forearm as a pick, as a cut, as a grab, as a punch, a direction, all of those are important. If something comes here and I go like this, that's a block, right? If I go like this and I lift up, that could be defensive move, or even a knee strike. Like in the 5 images, when we go like this, we step down and we have a leopard. So those movements, are techniques that we have inside the form. How we use them has to materialize over time to see what am I using. If I'm using this, am I using this? Am I using this? I'm using this. Those are all different parts of your arm. Some of you probably have done arm pounding, leg pounding, or something. When you hear 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's a coming like this, right? You have this middle, and then lao, right? Or you're dropping. So the movement, boom, 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 right? Boom, boom, boom. That's just movements that you have from your form. Can you extract any of these movements and see the commonality in those movements? Because they fall into a category of motion. Those category of movements are defined as a technique. So you don't have to learn 10,000 different techniques, but you need to learn multiple transitions in the form. So this is the back fist, right, and the dropping palm. So if I came like this, that becomes a transition. What I have here is a footwork. So when we're here and we reach in like that and strike, what has happened? Maybe I'm like this. So if my hand is here, I already know a piece of that. So those are full image, partial image, and you just extract them. They become combinations of things. But you have to remember that every scenario, every situation is always different. And you have to respond from the position. That's the most difficult thing to do. It's really, how deep your repertoire of techniques is that you can draw off of these techniques and then work off of them spontaneously. That's why, when you learn complex form, it teaches you a place that you've never been before. So without that depth of movement, you're always going to be stuck because you have to recreate. The forms have already been designed, so you don't need to recreate. A lot of people try to invent these forms. You can't invent a form that's a traditional form because the old teachers back in the day that invented these forms already thought through it. Now, if you don't think that that's complete, then you learn another form, and that helps to complete it. Now, you think all the forms that you learn is not complete, then you can move on to another style. But before you move to another style, how deep is your understanding with this current style? So that's what traditional systems have to have, your depth of knowledge. What's the body form? When you're like this, and you're like this, your body lifts. You look at the back, it lifts. You sink, and you push. Your body is in part of this movement. When you sink, your body has to sink. When you rise, it has to rise. That's what has to happen when you expand and contract in the movement. When you lift, when you sink, when you turn. This is called body form, your torso method. Hand, eye, body, waist, and stance. Xingnan in your mouth. Hand-eye coordination, yeo, right? Your yeo is your waist, actually all this area, right? Body, the yin. The imagery, how does my body move, when I sink, when I turn? These are body form that makes the movement effective. How does the legs move? How do I go from here to here to here and be able to have a transition? That's body form that evolves over time. That body form has to integrate with the upper body form. So then you have, the unification or the oneness of those movements. So then you have your leg work, the footwork, the stance. All of these stances are just the basic 5 stances or however you want to count them. Then transition to footwork. That's the leg method. So your leg method, what are you doing? This, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this. Those are leg methods, right? Hand methods, 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Those are hand methods. You're here. Elbow, right? Elbow methods. Shoulder method. Those are all methods that we have to define as part of the body form. The leg work, all of those, when your level of understanding increases, then you start to define how those pieces have to work together like a puzzle. So when you pull all those together, you develop tremendous understanding of that kind of depth of knowledge. So where does the power come from? It has to be compatible with the direction of movement. Isolated movement is not effective because you can't be fast there, you can't have power there, and you can't have efficiency of movement there because it's separate. So your goal when you do any of this stuff is integration of the body. What do you hear? Your body has to connect like that. Because when you're like this, when something comes, you have to respond like that. And you don't go like that, or you don't even do that. That's not enough. When you go like this, when you hear this is all ready to go. You can't wait and do it. So in training you do because you want to work. What are you working? Your musculature, your ligaments, your tendons, your body, your mind, your leg. All of this has to be constantly evolving as you practice your form. So that's kind of what we can take from that. When we do, say, a front kick, it just snaps out from here, right? You pick it up, you're here, right? You're here. So you don't need to put a whole lot of winding up. You're here, boom. That's it. The kick comes out and it's done. You throw a punch out, boom, it's done. You don't have to tense. You don't have to punch and hold have all this strength there. That's wasted energy. So these are ideas that I see, people don't understand, what you're doing with your strength. So the strength here and the strength here should be flexible, pliable. Don't be tense here, don't be tense here, don't have tension here. In fact, you shouldn't have tension anywhere, really. You should be tense at the appropriate time. Even with any of the iron wire form, breathing form, tension, relaxation, tension, relaxation. Inhalation, exhalation, open and close. These are concepts for balance. Your movements have to have the philosophical idea of balance and movement, like yin and yang. So you have to have this concept. It's in the philosophy, it's in every system. Doesn't matter Tai Chi, Kung Fu, it's always that balance, whether it's expansion, contraction, rising and falling, tightness and relaxation, inhalation, exhalation. And I mean, I could go on forever just talking about that, but the thing is, fundamentally, we have a basic idea of what we achieve from the form. And that's, I stress, the traditional arts mainly because I see the most value in that. I've been doing this for many, many decades. So my experience over the years and times have taken me through many of the journey or up and downs that most of the people out there, some have experienced and some don't even know that there is, that next peak and down and peak and down. So the thing is, it's a cycle, and this logo represents the cycle that we do. There's a gearing here. Each one of these gears represents a transition, but when you get back to the beginning or the top, wherever you start, there seems to be no end. So it has no end. This logo is the logo that represents our style. It has the tiger, the crane in the middle, and it has the Tai Chi and the Yeti Mon built into the system. There's petals there represents the 5 animals and the 5 elements. The gearing represents the geometry of position. In fact, that's all built into that as well. And the gearing is, as you cycle through, there's always a progression. Okay, so, with that said, hope you enjoyed, what I did today. I tried to bring out some things that you may have questions of, and at the same time, if you review this, you can pick up some things that you might have missed because things happen pretty fast, especially when it's on video. So you can review it. You can see it on YouTube, calvinchin.com or CCMA. We have the live stream. It's archived there. If you can't find this one, there's always other ones you can view. Give us a thumbs up. And also subscribe, and that gives us an idea who's following. And, we won't know you by person, but at least we know that, we have a general idea. If you're a student at the academy, just chime in and say, hey, I watched the video, so I know that it's students or people just watching to get some type of exposure to martial arts, or maybe you're a traditionalists that practice the same style, you might get something out of it. If you're from another style, you will gain some benefit understanding the philosophy of what's being taught as a traditional art. Okay, on that note, we'll see you next time, Saturday.